Special Issues Committee, September 11, 2023. Counselor Smith?
Here.
Gear? Alemon? Sims? Andrus?
Oh, here.
All right, got all five here. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading and approve the minutes?
Second.
Motion from Mr. Alemon, second from Ms. Andrus, because she's sitting right next to me, and I heard her very definitively second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. That passes, and those are approved. Okay, old business. 070823, request for permission to vacate the Irving Frisco alleyway right-of-way, brought to us by Cale Smith. The city is the petitioner here. We did hear from Cale in our last meeting, and also from some homeowners who are neighbors to this property on Frisco. And I can say, just because I know this, both Ms. Gear and myself were out there today looking at this. Do you have any information you want to share with us, Cale?
I don't have anything additional from what we talked about last time.
Okay.
I haven't heard from any neighbors.
Okay. And do we want to remind people, it's a really weird situation where 3 houses that actually front Irving, that their houses are down here on Irving. They also own the property on the other side of our right-of-way, and herein lies the problem. Because someone actually did work in the right-of-way that is there now. So the request was to vacate the entire right-of-way, and I can say from my own personal opinion, just my personal opinion, no one else's, I just don't think that total vacation is necessary. I'm not super inclined to do it from where I sit today. I don't know if anybody else wants to weigh in.
So the city vacated this
Right.
end
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago.
Right,
ish.
right.
And so we were bringing this because of the problems they.
Yeah.
There are hands being raised behind you.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Guys, additional neighbors that live on Irving.
And we
Okay.
own those lots in question.
Okay. But are y'all the ones that have the carport in this right away?
The carport, I'm actually the owner of 94. The carport doesn't sit in the right of way.
Okay.
It's right to the next. We did the survey and it shows that it does not sit on that.
Okay.
But it's still an unattached accessory unit, right? It's still not in compliance?
It's an accessory structure on the lot by itself,
Right. It's not
which is not.
Excuse me,
Right.
before
Yeah,
we
yeah,
hear from them,
yeah,
can we
yeah,
let
yes,
the
yeah, no,
committee,
yeah.
discuss a little more?
Yes.
Because I do have a question. To me, I mean, and I know that the city, got together and thought this was a good solution to a bigger issue than just the 924 issue. But it does, when you go up there, it does seem like it might be a little overkill. And so my question is there not another solution for 924 without the vacation of that entire area?
So if this entire alley doesn't get, if none of the alley gets vacated, then we can find a workaround for 924.
Okay.
And currently, 924 is the only one where there is an issue, correct?
Well, so that we would run into a similar issue probably for 920, 922 if they wanted to do anything in what they consider to be their rear yards, because these are standalone lots.
Right.
And so like if 920 or 922 wanted to build a garage or an accessory structure
Right.
on those lots, then they wouldn't be allowed to.
Right, but they would have to come to us and ask for that. But, I mean, I guess my point is, I think it's, I mean, again, in my opinion, I'm not inclined to, I'm not inclined for us to give away our property a lot. And I understand that what happened on 924, that didn't come before us. I mean, I don't remember anybody ever coming to us to ask us anything about that. So,
Do we have a sense of what the workaround could be, Cale, or are you not prepared to discuss that? If we don't vacate this?
So 924 is proposing a small addition. They're proposing to screen into the back porch, is it?
The current porch
Right.
that's standing there. just
And so when we were reviewing that, we said, well, they have an accessory structure on a standalone lot that they own that's, almost adjacent to their primary structure property. 920 and 922 are gonna run into the same issue if they ever wanted to build something on the secondary lot.
Sure.
So we were like, oh, and so if we were to vacate this section, then that leaves this middle section sort of landlocked. And so there's no reason to just vacate 920, 922, and 924's alley when we could vacate the entire thing because there's no way to get.
But so when you said that there's a workaround, let's just say the committee is not supportive of the vacation.
Sure.
So let's just
Assume.
hypothetically say that, hypothetically. But you said there is a workaround that works for 924 that is already, has the structure already there.
That's right.
And I mean, I can't help that we have the property and it's in between their two lots. So if we don't wanna vacate it, then we don't vacate it, and then that becomes something that we're not, I mean, yeah, we're not
Sure.
involved in. So, I mean, I think if there's something that makes sense for the homeowner at 924, and they are okay, and then we choose not to vacate the rest of it, that's just we're done. I mean,
Right,
the end
that's
of the
right.
story.
Yep.
There's only one other issue.
Yeah.
As I understand it, based on what you and Sherry told me, 924, 22, and 20 have all resurveyed into one, they claimed homestead
Parcel,
exemption.
right,
Yeah.
they claim homestead.
You couldn't have a homestead exemption on those lots, 920, 922, 924, because they're not a part of the homestead.
Right. That would be homestead.
Because the alley's separate.
Wouldn't that be homestead for all, homestead exemption for all?
Well,
I mean,
it sh-
is that a
it should
strong
not be-
term?
It's not permissible.
Yeah, not allowed, right, because in order for something to be homesteaded, it has to be one piece of
lot.
property.
One lot.
Right.
And let me ask this question, is this another issue if we actually vacate the right-of-way all the way through this area where there are fences currently sitting in our right-of-way and well into it, I would say, even though I didn't measure. So if we vacate, does that then give each property owner half of
Yes, ma'am.
the area?
Yeah.
So if we have homeowners that are backing up to one another, and one of them has a fence way into the right-of-way, and then we vacate it, the homeowner behind them could say, well,
Take that.
that's in my property, and I need you to take your fence down, and I see that we might be, opening a can of worms in that regard to some of the houses that aren't involved in the two-lot scenario.
Yeah, I mean,
That's right.
cause I mean, everybody has a right to half the property if it's vacated. So then you get people who already have structures, whatever that might be, fence or whatever, that now is on someone else's property technically.
And when I said we found a workaround for 924, I'm talking about the specific project that they have.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
a way for them to fence their porch.
That's right.
Yeah.
To close in the
Right,
porch.
okay.
But to
Alright.
that concern about what you said, a property owner can yield their right to their half, right? So it would be a portion of the other property if they so choose.
Yeah, but I think what you're
That's
gonna
a
find is that's
Who
not
would,
what people
right,
are.
but-
I think that's the problem, because
Just
that's
making
not
sure.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah, there
I
are
think-
options.
Yeah,
Some do.
yeah, but I think in
The
this
last one
situation, you would
vacated.
find that that's probably not
Property
how
owner
people, how that would
conveyed it
go.
by quitclaim deed.
I'm with Melanie, I think then we're kind of forcing these neighbors into a situation where you're kind of putting them in
Negotiating.
odds
They
to, yeah.
figure it out.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's,
And to clean all
and
this.
to be fair, it's not necessary. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing is, I'm sorry, I didn't create the issue. I really don't see the hardship in it, to be quite honest.
Well, and that's my
Counselor
question,
Smith.
like, to clean this all up, I mean, do we need indemnification agreements down the line? I mean, for whatever's sitting in the right of way?
Oh, you mean moving forward?
Well, no.
Well, no,
what's
like the stuff that's
existing right
already
now.
there.
Well, let me say this too. There are 99% of rights of way in Homewood that's unapproved that have fences or houses or buildings. And the city's position's been, as long as I've been around here, is that we don't care as long as we don't have a need for it. But you can change that policy decision as you see fit.
I guess I'm just inclined to believe that we're creating more issues by vacating it than we are solving, potentially. And that the cleanest thing to do is just leave it alone.
I'm right there with you.
So unless we really wanna hear from folks, I'd like to make a motion to drop.
do y'all have something y'all would like to say? I'm sorry, I meant to come back to y'all. Do y'all have something y'all would like to say? Y'all are welcome to. And if you do, I need y'all to sign it.
They get-
Um,
they-
Oh, y'all
they
already
sign-
did,
they
okay,
sign.
okay, good, good, good.
Do you all have anything else to say, cause I don't have it on here.
Yeah, I'm 922, and so my understanding is if you leave the right of way, then if I need to do anything, I would come back to the council, which I likely will have to. The unattached structure you see in the back there is on its last legs, so I'm gonna do something with that at some point.
Oh, at the back of your house on this side of the right of way?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, but Cale, that would that?
Assuming it's the.
Yeah, I mean, there would be there are gonna be setback
Okay.
requirements and all kind of, so
Right,
he's-
right.
it's probably non-conforming as it is,
Okay.
but if he wants to move it to this lot, or move it back further, then he wouldn't be able to do that either.
Right, gotcha.
I think the issue now, and I'm one of the property owners on Frisco as well, is that, none of these folks put these fences in place and things like that, but it's really messed up out there. Some of the fences go across the alley and onto my property and going around it. So it's a really bad situation up there, in addition to Frisco not being wide enough to meet the requirements, having visibility issues. So I think there's, gonna be more things that come to the council where this has been ignored for a long time, and kind of this forgotten corner of Homewood
Yeah.
that has gotta be addressed.
What number are you?
Up there, 909,
You're not, so you're the
which
big
is
lot in
actually
the middle.
3 lots.
Oh, and are those the lots that are for sale currently?
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Are you Chase?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Yeah.
to meet you finally.
Okay, so you have the 3 lots, but you do not have that other lot. There's another lot further down after
No,
this
that's
road
Ed
ends.
Greer.
That's
Yeah.
somebody else, okay.
And then these are the homeowners on
Yeah,
Frisco.
yes, no, I know, yeah.
I think it's also important to note that Chase is in the process of selling those.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah, they're for sale.
Which I think makes it more important, realistically, because now you're gonna, instead of 1 property owner, you're gonna have 3.
Well,
So you're gonna have, more issues coming up that, quite frankly, gotta be dealt with.
if I can speak to that, Shannon Tyndall, 920. Chase and I have corresponded a great deal over the past couple of years. I've been there for 25 years. I know that one of y'all had a concern at the last meeting. We were not notified at the last meeting. I'm not sure how the other homeowners were notified, but.
It's all public notice.
Right, but
Yeah.
I don't know how that got up on anybody's radar.
Yeah.
But, anyway, one of the concerns was, what if somebody came and offered us money for our second lots? The 3 of us have
Right,
the
they
second
have
lot.
yeah.
Chase offered all of us money for our lots, and we all declined. We don't want anything built behind us.
He's not offered.
Well, not, but the 2 of us, he has offered
Yeah.
money.
Just
And
correct.
but we've all declined, because we don't want anything like what has happened on Grace Street, or whatever street that is.
Behind middle school.
Behind the middle school to happen to us, right? I don't want a house hanging over the top of me.
And I understand
So-
that you feel that way,
But here's the thing, like,
that might not always be the case.
but it will be, because those lots are not, that's why they're for sale, is because they're not developable in the way to make the money that the developer is gonna want to make.
They
The
are
street cannot
developable.
be extended or widened enough per the city and the fire department to enable anything more than really 1 house being built, unless I sold my lot to create a way for a turnaround, and I'm not doing that, so.
Again, you're not.
I've been here 25 years, I'm just saying.
But I know, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, you won't always be here, and,
No, I
and
won't.
someone else could
And
take
none
it
of us
totally.
will always be
No,
here,
right.
but it's not, I mean, it would take a miracle of God for those lots to all be able to be developed. And I'm sure that's part of what their concern was, is the traffic and parking and how to get in and out. But we're already, like, y'all went and walked those, you cannot, they're not traversable. It's not, and you used to live, didn't you? Who lived on Irving on this council? Anybody? Nick Sims, did Nick Sims?
No,
I'm
no,
Nick
he's
Sims.
Nick,
I'm
he definitely did not.
Somebody used to.
Brett used to live.
Oh,
over
down
there.
Irving, yep,
Yeah, he's not.
So, but not up the hill.
No.
So, I mean, I think that part of, and I don't know what all of the concerns were, except for ingress and egress. I feel like I heard your concerns for ingress and egress, y'all, on the last meeting, and that's just really, I really don't see, other than one other house being developed at the 909 that's now been split into 3 to be sold. I don't really see any more than 1 house being developed anytime in the future.
I mean, I will say developers, developers are pretty savvy in that way. I've been involved with a lot of them, and they're pretty good at figuring out ways to do stuff if they want to. If they feel like it's gonna make them money, they'll figure
Well,
out
but
a way
they,
to make
I
it
mean,
happen.
like,
Yeah, there's a
he hasn't been able to.
path with that, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, for me, that was not the goal, I'm not wearing developer hat in this, I'm an individual who's trying to build a house up there. But whether it's me or somebody else, houses are coming on those lots, houses will be on Ed Greer's lot, which is down the street at 900. And, probably at some point when these folks have moved on, somebody's gonna sell those back lots, there's gonna be houses there. So it's just not something that can be kicked down the road anymore, and the city does a masterful job of trying to push this back on individuals to handle, but it's just gotten where it's just, it's too much.
It's on private property, between private property owners are not public issues that we can address.
I mean, with the paving of the street, how Frisco Street gets handled, and the existing non-conforming street that exists there now. It's unfair to individuals to try to solve these issues.
I'm pretty sure when we had the case though on that lot, it was contingent on the developer or the property owner extending the street, not the city.
And originally, kind of the permission that I had been given from the city originally was that we were gonna be allowed to do a 12-foot extension to the end of our property. And then, when we started getting into it and some of the neighbors were frustrated, the city kind of utilized the fire department to now require a 24-foot wide road and a turnaround.
Well, because they have to be able to get the truck in and
I
out.
understand.
But I will say, we're kind of getting off topic,
Yeah.
because what we're talking about is the vacation of the alleyway, and that's kind of why we're here, and that's what we're dealing with. So all of the other issues outside of that really aren't what we're talking about today, and frankly, we don't have time to go into all the details because we have a council meeting coming up. So we do need to deal with what we're dealing with right now, and I will say, okay, so, all right, so we have a motion to drop from Mr. Alamon and a second from Mr. Sims. I would say, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is 5-0 to drop that vacation. There we go. Okay.
Did you say aye?
I did, I was.
You were into it, you were into it.
I'm used to being on.
Vote with it, baby. Come on.
Councilor Smith.
It was all.
Okay.
Councilor Smith,
Yes.
as a follow-up for
Oh, I'm
anyone
sorry.
listening to it, I would just like to clarify related to right-of-ways and fences and so forth. We have been going back and cleaning some of that stuff up recently. We've asked people to take out trees, we've asked people to move fences. So I just want to clarify for the public, anyone here, don't build in the right-of-way
That's right.
and ask for
Permission later.
permission later. We will make you take it out.
Yeah.
That's
Don't,
my
don't
point.
go, don't go with the ask for forgiveness, not for permission. Ask for permission, not for
Well,
forgiveness.
and
That's
that
what
was
we
my
would like.
point about what's sitting there. Is there anything that we need to do to clean that up back there that we know?
Yes.
I mean,
We're gonna let them do that.
okay.
All right, so that issue, 070823 is dropped, and we are moving on to new business, 150823, which is a request for permission to vacate a portion of the right-of-way. Here we are again, along Forest Brook Circle, brought to us by Tanya Geary and Kel Smith. Kel, this is a whole different scenario.
Yeah, so, all right, this is the original plat for this neighborhood, and you can see lot 3.
Yeah, where's that little property?
Oh, there we go. Lot 3. This is how it was platted before the interstate came through. And
Okay.
then so, when the interstate came through, AlDOT took a pretty large chunk of property from the folks that own this. So go to the next slide, Brian.
This is not a vacation.
This is not a vacation.
It's not.
It says vacation.
Oh.
It's not a vacation.
It is a,
It's gonna be a surplus, right?
we're gonna declare it surplus, okay. So we need to clean that item up. It should not be a
It's not a
vacation.
vacation.
Okay,
Because
all
it's
right.
not our right of way, it was the AlDOT right of way.
But then they gave it back to us.
They gave the property back to us, but we've never used it as a right of way.
Right.
So it won't be vacated as a right of way.
It'll be
It can
surplus.
be sold, declared surplus and disposed of if you see fit to do it.
Okay, so let me just, before we get back to that thing. So, since Bo is over here frantically typing away. So 150823, which is written as request for permission to vacation a portion of right-of-way along Forest Brook Circle, should actually be request for permission to surplus a portion of property along Forest Brook Circle. Am I right? Is that a more, yeah, so that we're surplusing it, we're not vacating. Okay, so Okay, now, go, sorry, Kelly.
All right, so this hatched area is what Aldot took for the interstate.
Okay.
And this triangle is half of that lot 3 that I just showed you.
Okay,
And then go to the next one, Brian. So this is what the Aldot right-of-way looked like. So I mean, you see how big it is.
right, yeah.
And then here's half of lot 3.
Okay.
So when Aldot gave us this property back a few months ago, Ms. Gary came to us and asked for us to give her, or sell her back the part that was originally platted.
Part of her
Right.
lot. that
So
she-
go to the next one, Brian, which is this part.
Okay,
So this is the originally platted lot 3, and that's what she's asking for
and,
the
and
city
you,
to
I think you
surplus.
told me earlier today, prior to it coming back to us from Aldot, she had actually asked Aldot
That's right.
for that, and they turned it down, but then gave it back to us.
Well, I think they said we're kind of in the middle of
Yeah.
like working with the city to get it to them, and then
Got
we
it.
can just work it out.
Okay, so they just kind of pushed it off to
Right.
us to deal with, okay.
That's
I
right.
see. And we're not using it for anything,
That's correct.
because we've never had it before, it's
Right.
always been part of
Yeah.
their right of way from the interstate.
Right.
Okay,
Would we be giving it to her or would we be selling it to her?
no, we're selling it to her.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
can't remember, what is the financial,
What is
what's the number?
Well, I mean, you
There's no
can,
formula about that.
yeah, so there's a valuation for right-of-way,
Mhm.
which would total $6,324, but since it's a
This is not a
surplus,
right-of-way.
Yeah,
you
Not
can,
right.
you can
Okay.
sell it for whatever.
The law says you sell it for fair consideration. You
Okay.
determine what that is.
okay, so she is paying us a sum of money for this piece of property that we are planning to surplus if we do so.
Are we determined? We haven't determined that amount yet.
I think I heard two-ish something.
I said 6,324 based on the right-of-way number.
Okay.
But it can be whatever.
Okay, so do we?
Related to that consideration was when the property was designated as right away previously, was it financially compensated for or taken through like eminent domain?
I'm sure that they had to pay them. They had to take it through.
Okay, I just wanna make sure,
Yeah.
cause.
They were
okay.
compensated at the time it was taken.
Yeah.
Whoever owned it.
Yeah.
Okay, cause if it was like, if there was no financial compensation
No, they can't
before,
take property without.
then that would kinda impact how much, we should give them back versus not. So, okay, thanks for
But to
answering.
be fair, I think that happened what year was that? It was a long time ago.
That's right, before the interstate.
Yeah, so a long time
Yeah.
ago. So
And
that's,
does she live on the other side
I
of
think
it?
she's
And there's a-
planning to build a house, I believe is the correct, right? She's planning on building a house on the property.
Yeah,
So
so-
there's nothing there now, but she owns half the property?
Well, we have been, and Ms. Gary's been working at this for a couple of years now, trying to fit one on that, but all along was talking to Aldot and now Homewood, so it's been about a 2-year process. So she bought that portion, we've tried to design a house that would fit on just that portion.
So she bought it from
I don't know,
somebody?
a private individual.
Whoever
And it was
owned
just
it.
a blank lot?
Whoever
It was
owned
a
it,
blank
yeah.
lot?
Yeah,
Okay.
the owners, it was 3 siblings, it was
Okay.
part of a trust, they actually own the property next door, actually, where there's a house.
Okay.
And then there was that little triangle that was.
So when we get this back, my question is, would we not put it on the market? Oh, I guess maybe it's not
It's
a
not a
buildable lot, is it?
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
I mean, it's
Right.
attached to her lot and
Okay.
it's next to the
And
intersection.
it's really steep.
Oh, is it really steep too?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
just
another
the
thing.
cost of development.
So if we declare it surplus, do we also need to set that price while we're doing this, Mike? Yes?
If you're gonna sell it.
Yeah, okay.
In the surplus ordinance, you will tell how it will be disposed of.
Right.
Either by auction or sold to a third person.
Right, and then we
We're not
just say-
required to take bids for it.
Right, no. And typically when we do these types of things, don't we usually take square footage and multiply it by a number?
Well, Mark
Oh.
just said fair
But
market.
that, a fair market value. I mean, what's the
law
fair
says
market for?
adequate consideration.
Adequate consideration. So any suggestions from my experts that would tell me what that?
Well, I mean, this is the calculation that
Okay.
we use every time we
Okay,
we
so
sell
that
right
is,
of way.
okay,
That's
right.
Let me explain that.
Yeah.
There is a state statute that says you cannot charge more than that formula.
Like, that's the
for
high
right of
number,
way.
that's the number that it has to be.
For right of way.
Right.
Right.
This is not right of way.
Right.
It can be used.
It could be whatever we choose that it
Yes.
is. Okay.
Your
Can we
discretion.
take a little more time from tonight? and
I mean,
go
I don't
just-
see a need to. I mean, I have no problem with it because the fact is.
I'm just saying to set the number, to set the figure.
Not if
Because
somebody
we're
just.
sitting here and we don't really have.
No,
mean-
I don't think there's any reason to
Well, I
delay
just
for
think
something
even
as
though we-
minor as that.
I'm sorry.
We just come up with a number and we say what the number is, and that's the number.
I think the
mean,
calculation based on as if it was right away, even though it isn't, seems like a fair parallel. Even though we aren't limited by that, I mean, it seems like a calculation we would use in other scenarios. So it makes sense to use the same calculation even though we don't have to.
All right, is that a motion?
Let me.
Okay, sorry,
One thing,
Alex,
I don't
jump
disagree
in.
with, what Counselor Sims just said
Yeah.
necessarily. I think that's true with this property because it's sort of uniquely situated.
Situated.
There may be other properties that come up in the future that we sell as surplus that wouldn't apply to because it wouldn't be this scenario where it's small enough that you can't do anything with it, so.
Right.
And I just make that distinction for the future, not
Right,
necessarily.
equivocable, everything is situational.
Exactly, this is unique to this situation.
Yes, yes. This-
And we don't have to have a public hearing, right? So this would go to council tonight?
No, I think if it's a surplus, it does not require a public hearing.
Well, I haven't done anything.
Oh, yeah, right, so it might be the next meeting before it gets
We have
approved in
to have an
council.
ordinance that
Yeah, we have to have an
covers
ordinance to surplus it.
And I need the legal description.
Okay, all right, so,
I make
but we
a-
can go ahead and send it out so that at full council on the 25th we do it. I mean, to me, there's no reason to hold it in,
So what's the amount?
6,300.
whatever it was, yeah, 6,000, yeah. Can you flash back to that previous slide, Brian? $6,324.
I make a motion to declare the property surplus, at the calculated amount of $6,324.
I need to know who's going to.
Oh, to be sold to Tanya Gary.
Tonyya,
Yes, sir.
Garry.
Gargy.
Yeah. All right, so I have a motion to surplus, the property and sell it for the amount of $6,324 to Tanya Gary. I have a second from Ms. Andrus. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. And so, because this hasn't been created as an ordinance, it will not go out for a vote to full council until the meeting on 9/25. Because he has to prepare the ordinance so that we can actually approve it.
We will share it by quick recommendation.
Right, and so we'll do that, to be voted on in council at the meeting on 9/25, 6 P.M. next week.
What timing after that, then, is that the final piece of?
Mike just said it'll be transferred by quitclaim deed once we,
Drafted up after that.
right, so it shouldn't, I would imagine the timeline will be pretty short after the
Okay.
approval on 9/25. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, and, if y'all have any questions, y'all can call Kel and he can clear that up. Okay, 160823, request to set a public hearing for consideration of a sign variance at 2844 18th Street South from the Howell Family LLC, Once Upon a Time, and Wyatt Pugh. Wyatt, this was the one that we had on the agenda and we dropped it off the agenda, and we're back on the agenda.
Okay, Mr. Howell's here, but, the request is pretty simple. It's to permit a letter height of, 21.37 inches, and the maximum allowable on awnings in the downtown district is 16 inches.
Okay, so we're going over by 5 inches for the O, the U, and the T?
That's right.
Okay. All right.
What is this?
This is, Once Upon a Time is a little, like, children's boutique, I would say.
The owner's here if you need to hear.
Oh, hey, Pat, okay. All right, so y'all are just replacing an existing awning, or is this new?
This is new, because it's relocating from 2900 to 2400.
Got it, okay, okay. All right, so, and this does have a public hearing, which we have not set yet, so whoever makes the motion, Mike, how far out will we need, could we do 9/25?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so whoever, makes a motion, to send it out without recommendation pending the public hearing, also needs to set that public hearing for September 24th.
I'd like to make a motion to send out a recommendation on September 25th.
Pending the public hearing on September.
Public hearing.
Second.
No, we dropped it because they weren't able to be here, so this is added back onto the agenda after having been dropped. So we're back at it again. We did not do anything with it, we dropped it.
Who seconded that?
So Mr. Alamon made the motion.
Andrus.
And Miss
Across the
Andrus
room.
remotely, seconded that.
I just have a quick question before the
Yeah.
vote. Sorry,
Sure.
I may have missed. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about the signage? Okay, I'm sorry. For some, and you were here so patiently from the beginning, so I just want to.
Just here to answer any questions.
Yeah. Okay. You said there's another page though of the rendering.
Well, there was a couple, there's some pictures.
Okay. All right. I just.
Of the same one in Crestline.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes,
Thanks.
because this store also exists in Crestline, and y'all are now moving into Homewood, which we're happy to have y'all. That's exciting.
Sorry.
All right,
Thank you.
so we have now had a motion to set the public hearing for September 25th and send this out from committee without a recommendation pending that public hearing that will be set for September 25th. And Ms. Andrews seconded that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. That is set, so that will be, yeah, on the 25th, 6 o'clock next door. And you'll just come back with the same thing and then we'll okay. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
All right.
And we are adjourned.